we talk about why it's so important for you to be able to understand not only your own personality nature, but the personality nature of the people that are important in your life, whether it is your boss, or if it's your wife or your husband, your children, your clients, any of those relationships. And if you can understand where they're coming from, you can be much more effective in communicating. I mean, that's the motherhood and apple pie of what we talk about all the time. And we sometimes have opportunities to live that example. So, Fran and I ended up going to a doctor's office together. I had an appointment. She wanted to be with me. We go into the doctor's office. We're the only ones there, waiting in the waiting room. And they have a sign, actually they have the sign in multiple places that says, no cell phone use in the waiting room. There it is, no cell phone use in the waiting room. You might not be able to read the bottom. It says, please be courteous and take your calls outside, right? So I see the sign as soon as we go in. We're sitting down, and I want to take a picture of this sign because I know what the conversation is going to be with my wife. So I reach into my pocket, to grab my cell phone, take it out, and as soon as I have it in my hand, Fran says to me, hey, didn't you see the sign? No cell phone use in the waiting room. Well, yes, of course, and I also understood they were talking about phone calls. You have to read the fine print to that. But more than anything, I just knew that if I took my phone out, that my wife was going to call me on it, because she is a stickler for details and she's a stickler for process. And if that's what the sign says, that's what the sign says. So I said, well, I've got my phone out because I need to take a picture of that sign because I'm going to do a video about this conversation. And here we are. So what's the difference? If I know that my wife is a process-oriented, play-by-the-rules type of a person, and if I'm going to consciously do something that goes against that, well then I can anticipate that that's going to be her reaction. And so instead of getting angry, instead of getting defensive, I'm just able to deal with it, in a positive and productive way. Not make fun of her position on that, which I certainly didn't, but because I have an understanding of who she is and how she's going to respond, I can respond in a way that is much warmer, much friendlier, and much more understanding on both sides. I would not have been able to do that if I didn't really understand her personality nature, and if I didn't think about that in my interaction. So, simple example, but it's so important and so valuable to you to have an understanding as to the behavioral nature of the people in your life that are most important to you, so that you can anticipate where they're coming from. Remember, they're not necessarily going to respond the way you would respond, just as you wouldn't respond the way they would respond. Recognize that everybody is coming at it from their own place. And if you can anticipate that, you can be a much more effective communicator, and you can reduce the stress, and you can, both in your marriage and in your workplace, keep the morale up. Always important. Thank you for listening. I hope that you found the topic useful for you.